Clerk.
Sorry. Pedro? Pedro?
Honourable Member.
Yes, sir. The sum of $3,247,319 is to support the ongoing operations of the Barbados Defence Force. As you are aware, sir, the fleet of ships that the sailors use with respect to their services, provision of security services for the country, require constant maintenance, and therefore these sums of money being asked is to support the ongoing servicing of the fleet with respect to the Barbados Defence Force. And so therefore the request being made is to ensure that Barbados' security is obviously supported through ensuring that the fleet of ships as well as the smaller vessels are regularly maintained such that we can provide the necessary support to enhance the national security interests of the country. And so with that, sir, I beg to move that head 13 stand part.
All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Head 27, Ministry of Tourism and National Transport, in the amount of $420,724.
Honourable Member St. James Central.
Mr. Chairman, the requests are really falling under three different programs. The first program, with respect to policy formulation, Mr. Chairman, relates to the fact that at the time of the preparation of estimates of expenditure for the financial year 2019 to 20, no allowances, specifically travel or entertainment, telephone, etc., were approved by Cabinet for the consultant functioning in the ministry in the capacity as Director of Tourism Development. So that sum of $3,696 is so as to correct that oversight. The second program, Mr. Chairman, is within the realm of international transport, and that is program 333. And then program 335, air transport infrastructure. And that relates, Mr. Chairman, to the question of air traffic management services. In a nutshell, Mr. Chairman, the airport has to be able to comply with certain critical and compulsory areas. They are called critical elements by the International Civil Aviation Organization. There are several critical elements, but the important one for us at this stage of the discussion is the provision for adequate oversight so as to ensure that there's safety at all times at the Grantley Adams International Aerodrome. There is a requirement, therefore, sir, for that supplemental so as to make sure that we're able to have adequate satellite navigation infrastructure in place and to comply with international standards, and obviously, sir, to avoid any undue concern about safety oversight at the airport and our ability to maintain those international standards and expectations of oversight. As I said, these are critical elements which are required of us by the International Civil Aviation Organization, and the necessary supplementary is detailed herein. I beg to move that. What's the San Pedro?
Head 27.
Sorry, head 27 in the amount of how much? $420,724 stamp part.
Question is that head 27 stand par. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Just give me a minute, sir. Just trying to get this.
Head 34.
Head 34, sir. Ministry of Finance, Economic Affairs and Investment in the amount of $9,085,182.
Check with
You know how
Pedro.
much money is that?
So check. Sure.
Honourable member for Christchurch East Central.
Yes, sir. The sums of money relating to the request under Head 34 relates to two main things, sir. One, the Barbados Revenue Authority, and the other is related to the Treasury Department specifically under subprogram program 112, but subprogram 0113. Now, this subprogram, sir, speaks to the fact that as the government modernizes, the accounting system that is used currently in the same way that we would have done with respect to moving Asekuda World from a DOS platform to a cloud-based system, we are moving the SmartStream system to be deployed onto a cloud-based system. And so therefore, the sums of money under subprogram 0113 is related to the Treasury's work that is required now to upgrade the SmartStream system such that the accounting for government obviously then becomes a lot easier to facilitate, and therefore the intention is to be able to complete that upgrade such that come April 6th actually, that the implementation of the cloud-based version of SmartStream will take place, and therefore these sums of money being requested under this program will allow for that implementation to be rolled out in this instance. Under the revenue collection part, which relates to the Barbados Revenue Authority, as you can see, there are two items here. In part, sir, three items actually, three items. There's the Tax Administration Infrastructure Reform Project, sir, which persons are familiar with respect to the TAMIS and the entire revenue enhancement project with respect to being able to, one, bring all of the taxpayer systems, the legacy systems that we would have inherited, to bring that to fruition. And so therefore, the supplementary here of 4.037 million is 4.037 million is to further implement the tax reform project, which is supported by CAF, and therefore, as we seek to bring this project to an end, then the intention, obviously, sir, is to ensure that the systems and the procedures with respect to being able to finance these measures will be able to be completed under this program, under this subprogram. Sorry, the grants to public institutions under 316 under subprogram 0185, sir, relates to the fact that a number of officers have retired, sir, from the Barbados Revenue Authority, and was the Treasury, because as you would recall, sir, the Revenue Authority was formed by public officers moving from central government into the Revenue Authority, and therefore was some of those officers who retired in the interim in the last 5 years are receiving their pensions from the Treasury. The Revenue Authority now has to top that up with respect to what is owed and due to them, and therefore the sum of money is being requested here specifically relates to being able to provide for the pension, not just of those workers, but the projections with respect to workers that will expect to retire over the next year. And so therefore these sums of money are voted with respect to being able to settle that. The $865,000, sir, relate to the fact that there's an ongoing scanner project which is managed with respect to the Customs Department. But as you may recall, the previous government had intended to move customs to the BRA, and therefore the project with respect to which was Asekuda World and all the other reforms which were meant to be done for customs were managed by the Revenue Authority, and so therefore these sums of monies being requested is to purchase 2 replacement scanners, sir, which will enhance the security with respect to the customs operations at the border, and will augment obviously that which is being done on the part of the Port Authority. And so these sums of money, sir, in a sense, sir, will on the face of it aid tremendously with respect to the modernization of government, and that is on the one hand with respect to the upgrade of the accounting system across government. And as you would recall, sir, we passed the Public Finance Management Bill earlier this year, and we've committed ourselves to ensuring that the accounting systems across government are harmonized, and therefore would allow us to be able to better track and manage from a systemic perspective government's revenue and expenditure and the accounting for that going forward. And so as the Treasury rolls that out, and with respect to the Revenue Authority accelerating the completion of the TAMIS and the other revenue enhancement projects, that these sums of monies in total being requested by the Ministry of Finance of $9,085,182 will support the modernization of government and would allow us then to be able to better manage the public finances of the country, and therefore I beg to move that Head 34 stand part.
The question is that Head 34 stand part. Honorable members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it. Head 39.
Yes, sir. The Ministry of International Business and Industry in the amount of $1,800,002.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This sum is being requested in relation to really 3 sub-programs. The first one relates to the issue again of economic substance, which I've explained somewhat exhaustively already in this chamber. But as was pointed out before, it is not enough to enact legislation, but you must also go on to put yourself in a position where you can effectively implement and monitor compliance with the requirements of the legislation. It therefore became incumbent upon us to procure the amount of filing that had to go on in terms of these substance declarations by the service providers or whoever is designated by the companies to file economic substance returns annually necessitated really that you had to move to an IT platform. It would have been too much to be conducted manually. And therefore, the ministry moved to obtained an IT platform procured and supplied by the firm BDO. And the total cost was $995,000 US eventually. And according to the billing milestones that have been submitted in the work plan, the contract, the amount that will be due and owing by the end of the financial year would be, I think, but the remaining amount due by the end of the financial year will be the sum of $1,602,888 Barbados dollars. So that sum is on the first sub-program set out in the supplementary. The second amount, totaling $167,114, relates to KIPO, Mr. Speaker, where what happened here, Mr. Chairman, is that at the start of the year, the sum requested for salaries, particularly for the temporary employees, that had been cut back by the Ministry of Finance in the expectation that the corporate affairs would already have entered into what was then planned, or still is, a public-private partnership. So it's felt that once that came into existence, staff obviously would have been adjusted, maybe sent to other ministries or whatever. But that did not materialize, and chances are will not materialize during the course of the current financial year. So in the circumstances, funds have to be now sought and obtained to pay the staff that had been anticipated but not have fallen under our purview for the entirety of the financial year. In addition, during the course of the financial year, we had to take on 3 additional staff members, a cashier, a vault attendant, and a legal officer, to cope with an increase in workload at KIPO. So that is what has made it now necessary to seek an additional sum of $131,413. Of course, once you employ people, you have to pay national insurance. And there's a portion here of $35,701 to cover national insurance, which represents national insurance that would have been due, but also the fact that national insurance was increased during the year as well. So hence, Mr. Chairman, they need to have both an adjustment in relation to pay the staff and also to pay the national insurance due on that. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, there's the sum of $30,000 which is being sought to procure some laptop computers, the small type, to facilitate, because now with the monitoring of substance and so on, it's necessary to visit and do on-site inspections and so on, and you have to have the necessary equipment to enter data as you are actually inspecting. Go back to the ministry and work on it further, Mr. Speaker. So in a nutshell, I know everyone is anxious to get out of here, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. So that is it, Mr. Chairman, in a comprehensive nutshell. So the total being sought by the ministry is $1,800,002 as explained, as just outlined, Mr. Chairman. I beg to move to that, Mr. Speaker, that head 39 stamp part. Huh? At $1,800,002. I beg to move that head 39 stamp part.
The question is at head 39 stand part. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Head 75, Ministry of Housing, Lands and Rural Development, in the amount of $2,209,440. $2,219,440. 219,440. 2,219,440.
Mr. Speaker,
440.
before I get to the supplementary, I think this is the last time that we will meet before Christmas, and I want to extend a hearty Merry Christmas to the constituents of St. John. The matter before the House, Mr. Speaker, is a supplementary of $2,209 to complete.
Sorry, say again. 2 million.
$2,209 for $440,000 to supplement programs at the Ministry of Housing. The $209
Mr. Speaker, is related to a matter of completing the survey on the housing estates owned by the National Housing Corporation. Now, for the whole day, Mr. Deputy Speaker, you would have heard member after member fixing issues left over the last 10 years. And this supplementary is one that we at the National Housing Corporation is looking to fix as well, because in order to convey those units under the 20-year program, we must conduct a survey of the property to ensure that persons are paying for exactly what they deserve. So hence that $209,440 is going in that particular direction. The $2 million, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is related to completing the septic tank and wells program that we would have started sometime in August last year. This was accelerated as a direct result of that tragic event that would have happened on July 4th. And we are moving at a pace to ensure that all of those 100 wells that we deem to be critical in those housing estates are completed sometime early next year. Now, we have identified 6 of those particular estates where the problem is more acute than in the other areas. Now, we will be at some point in time getting to all of the areas that we need to retrofit the septic tanks and the well to ensure that safety is had by all of our tenants on the 49 estates that are across the country. So those 6 estates, Mr. Speaker, include Pinelands, Deacons Farms, which include Rosemont and Fernyhurst, Haynesville, Watton, Silver Hill, and Gore Hill. Now, one of the things that the ministry would have done as it relates to this particular program was to hire some subcontractors to assist in terms of completing the work, particularly in the Pine area that was deemed to be a little more serious than the others. So, without any further ado, Mr. Speaker, I beg...
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that head 75 stand par to the sum of $2,209,444.
I presume we will get to Grisettes and Denton Road in the next phase.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. The seconder? Seconded? The question is that head 75 in the amount of $2,209,440 do stand part. All our members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those members against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Head 80, Ministry of Transport, Works and Maintenance, in the amount of $2,448,809.
Honourable member for Christ
Mr.
Church.
Chair,
East Central.
the sums of money being requested under this particular head relates to the operation of the Transport Authority in being able to conduct its mandate. Earlier this year, when we did the initial estimates, the Transport Authority would have been allocated a sum of monies which they quickly were able to consume, and therefore it's not the most elegant choice of words, sir, but it's late. Sorry, but the Transport Authority, as it seeks to execute its mandate in being able to bring greater order to the road and being able to properly regulate, sir, the transport system, I've requested these additional sums of money in being able to further enhance its operations from that perspective. These, along with a number of other measures, which I'm sure will be further ventilated at a future date, will allow, obviously, for the public to get a greater understanding as to some of the issues that are being rolled out. As you're aware, sir, that on January 1st, for example, the breathalyzer testing will come into effect, into force with respect to the public, and so therefore bringing greater order to the road, sir, and the mandate of the Transport Authority is clearly supported by the government, working with the various stakeholders, and therefore we want to ensure that as we move forward with any reform efforts for government, that we ensure then that the entities are adequately provided for, and so therefore these sums of monies here are to support the ongoing work of the Transport Authority. And so with that, sir, I beg to move that head 80 stand part.
The question is that head 80 stand part. All other members in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Head 85, sir. Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment in the amount of $150,000.
Mr. Chair, sir.
The honourable member for Christchurch West Central.
Mr. Chair, before I expound certainly on this supplementary of $150,000 to Head 85 to augment the Natures from Ranch program, I would certainly like to raise my voice, as the honourable member for St. John did earlier, to wish the constituents, the good constituents of Christchurch West Central, a happy, Merry Christmas. And I wish them all the best for 2020, and I hope that they have the visual acuity to focus and getting themselves ready as great things will come upon them. I also want to say...
Honourable members, I wouldn't want to interrupt you and in your desires to wish happy holidays to your constituents, but there's a long-standing tradition in this honourable place that the leader of government business, on winding up the debate, and would usually record happy holidays to all of our constituents and all of Barbados, and certainly to those who help us here in their various roles. So I would ask that we allow the leader of government business to so conduct that business on our behalf, sir. Thank you. Honourable Member for Christchurch West Central.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I know that the leader of government business will certainly do his part, but the good people of Christchurch West Central will want to hear the voice of the medic himself. And to continue on the supplementary, of course, Natures from Ranch, as everybody in earshot know, has been doing a tremendous job, Mr. Chair, for over 21 years as it relates to giving young persons that chance, that once in a lifetime opportunity to have a paradigm as it relates to their lives. And we want to recognize, of course, that the program, the Natures from Ranch program, have an apex, which recognizes, of course, the acronym for attracting and attaching our young people to positive programs. The P represents a passion and a purpose, Mr. Chair. E for empowerment, recognizing, of course, that young persons must be empowered to have a tangible stake in this country, Barbados, and must be integral in its development. And in exchange, where you put down the life that you once had and come into a program, rehabilitative and recreation program, to fully develop their skills and to allow them to have that once in a lifetime opportunity. Recognizing, of course, Mr. Chair, that a mind stretch with a new experience will never ever go back to its old dimension. I want to pay homage today to Mr. Lane and all those philanthropists out there who have worked assiduously on behalf of the young people of this country to give them that opportunity and to provide a habitat and an environment that their lives can be changed and they can become productive citizens, firm craftsmen of their fate. And today, I feel special honored to be able to say that I asked this chamber and this committee to allow Head 85 in the sum of $150,000 to Nature Farm Ranch so that they can continue in their programs as it relates to developing our young people. I ask that Head 85 stand par.
The honourable member for St. Michael West.
Just briefly, Mr. Chairman, to record commendation from this side of the Honorable House to Mr. Corey Lane and others who lead this cause. I think that it is highly exemplary of one who seeks to serve the community in selfless fashion, and no amount of credit, no amount of commendation could be enough to serve as a reward or recognition for persons who give themselves to this type of work. Certainly the opposition, therefore, would want to commend him and to commend his example to many more across this island, because in various ways we seek to build a nation. The one other thing I would want to say is that we continue to talk about young people at risk, and that is in part the target of this program. But, Mr. Speaker, I never miss the opportunity to say to those to whom I speak on these matters that we're not only dealing with young people at risk, especially young men, we're dealing with a nation at risk. 28%, 30% unemployment among young people in Barbados as a persisting circumstance is an explosion waiting to happen. And I would like to encourage my honorable friend from Christchurch West Central, when he thinks of these young people at risk, to in a fuller measure understand that it is the nation at risk, and that the mandate given to him as a young minister in this portfolio is a significant one. And we have to change the fortunes of young people in Barbados. When we talk about unemployment, we boast that we're down to 7% some years ago. We say, well, 12% is bearable in the circumstances. We're doing better in the last administration. We're at 10 or 11%, all these types of things. But we need to drill down to the demographics, because when we start to talk about our young people, we are not at 7 or 10 or 11 or 12%. We're at 28, 30% unemployment among young people in Barbados. And that, to me, if that persists, speaks of a nation at risk. Added to the problem of unemployment, of those high levels among young people, is almost an equally sinister circumstance of underemployment across Barbados, and again among young people. The nation, our democracy, our way of life, our developmental goals achieved over years of hard work are all at risk. Our prosperity, our reputation, our future, all at risk unless we correct these situations. So when we come here to vote $150,000 for one program, we're doing a significant thing. I commend those who lead the charge in that cause, and I commend the minister for bringing the measure.
I move, Mr. Chair, that the Head 85 stand par.
The question is that Head 85 stand par. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Head 82, sir. Ministry of Environment and National Beautification in the amount of $2,300,000.
Mr. Chairman, This request is to support a national project along with an integrated project in the National Beautification Program. It will support the project in the Botanical Gardens, which will cover 250 plus acres, and I'm going to take a leap as early as tomorrow onto the western parcel of that land. So I'll be moving towards another 200 acres as well. In addition to that, the project will stretch across Barbados, and that's why it's an integrated project between what is happening in the gardens and what is going to be happening nationwide. With the 2020 vision regathering is the intention to help develop a sense of national consciousness, not only with this program exclusively, with the other elements of the program that would be applied, and we will leap off with that as well on the 1st of January. But obviously, the required supplementary will be used for us to continue to do the work. You don't plant trees on the 1st of January in order to have trees on the 1st of January. So we have to start planting early. We're going to have to do some cleaning up of the land. There are some alien species in that what is supposed to be friendly environment. We're going to have to remove those. And we're talking about trees that are not harmonious with what we want to do there. So we're going to be planting some fruit trees rather than some of the trees that sometimes retard the growth of others. That is part of the request. So we're going to have to cover supplies and materials, operation expenses, and in addition, some professional services of additional persons, which we had to bring in professional persons as well. I would probably give you the details of the entire program at a later date, but I want to, at this moment, while making this request for this supplementary, invite all the colleagues, members of Parliament here, sir, to St. Lucie for the 1st of January 2020. We want everybody to journey to St. Lucie to help support this program. And all of us can interact there and have a good time, including the leader of the opposition. So I'm making a request for the sum of $2 million, which is just a small amount at this point. $2,300,000 in order to support this national project.
Seconded by Center. Yeah. All right. The question is at head 82 stand part. All honourable members in favour, please say aye. Those against, please say no. I think the ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, that completes that supplementary. We now go to order number 6. In the name of the Honorable Minister in the Ministry of Finance and Investment, to move the passing of a resolution to grant the sum of $300,505 from the Consolidated Fund and to place it at the disposal of the government to supplement the estimates 2019 to 2020 as shown in the supplementary estimates number 5, 2019 to 2020, which form the schedule to the resolution.
Honourable member for Christchurch East Central.
Mr. Chair,
Just a minute, please. Head 34, Ministry of Finance, Economic Affairs and Investment, in the amount of $509 No, $300,505.
Mr. Chair, the request before the chamber relates to, in part, the insurance colloquium that was held here in Barbados, sir, on November 5th, which preceded the hosting of the International Monetary Fund as well as the CDB's Regional Economic Outlook Conference, which was held on the 6th of November. Now, sir, we, as a government, and as you are aware, sir, the Prime Minister has been quite strident with respect to the issues related to climate change. We've seen a lot of damage through the intensity of the storms over the last few years. And therefore, Barbados sought to pull together all of the multi